Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to City Skylines, and welcome back to Nerdchester. I hope you're having a good one, because I am so excited to be back. Obviously, we built that weird intersection that you just saw in the last episode. I'm still kind of on the fence about that thing, and apparently some of you are as well. I'm gonna leave it be for now, though, because I'm kind of curious to see how it turns out when it looks a bit more like things do here, which is to say that at some point I want to put a bunch of buildings around it and hope that it looks a bit less silly. But I do want to come over here and make some changes to it, because I have a little something in mind that I think is going to make it just that little bit better. And I think I mentioned this when I was building it. I mentioned that maybe putting the paths within the footprint of the intersection itself would be a bit of a better idea, because it's going to mean that I can get buildings closer to the intersection without having to do a bunch of detailing to sort of blend things together. So the way I'm going to do this is either by going to a spot sort of like this that we can snap to, and I mean, I don't hate that as a location, but I'm sort of thinking here, basically. So we do some little straight sections just like this. It is going to be sitting in the grass, which I don't necessarily love, but I think I can get away with this if we just go the entire way around here and then use the curve tool to come around a little something like this. And then, of course, a little bit of move it just to make sure that everything is nice and level here. So everything goes to that height, which it now is. And I think that looks pretty solid. Obviously, it's still just, well, it's not really sticking out beyond the footprint, which is kind of fantastic news. So I want to say this works better. Obviously, we need to connect everything together. And obviously, people are going to be a little bit annoyed that I've disconnected it here. But I think we're doing okay. I've also noticed that people aren't walking over here right now, so I think we'll just get rid of that extra bit of path. But what we can do, hopefully, is go in here with our cycle path, and I should, and I can, just run it straight down to here. Now, connecting this is most likely gonna just ever so slightly mess with the curvature down here. I'm kind of okay with that. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think down here we'll do something similar, making sure it's elevated and just run to right about there. And we'll run to right about there. And that seems pretty good to me. I think that works. We do have some weirdness going on here that I don't necessarily love, but I think this is just a bit of a better way to do things. So we'll use the slope tool just to make sure that this is all nicely laid out the way it should be. And then just a little bit of node controller to widen some of these intersections so it flows a little bit better for the cyclists. This right here looks a little bit weird, but I think, again, for the most part, I think having this slightly smaller footprint just makes more sense for this intersection. I can get buildings much closer to it now, which is what I want to do. I might have to come up with slightly better ways to do these paths at some point, because I don't necessarily love the fact that, well, this is going to push buildings back as well. But I suppose what we could do is maybe just have one path at some point. We do have a way for people to cross the street here, so when it comes down to it, we'll deal with it. That's something for future me to worry about, not present me, because this is working just fine. Now, in other news, and more important news, we are experiencing a bit of a death wave, which is something that I totally forgot existed in City Skylines 1, which is kind of wild to me, given just how many of them I've experienced over the years, but we can fix this. We are going to have to pause while we do this, but we can absolutely fix this. What I'm going to do is go in and just build a couple of cemeteries, because we don't have the crematorium yet. We need 11,000 people for that, and unfortunately, this death wave is probably going to make it a bit of a slower process to get there. But what I think we'll do is put a cemetery there and put a cemetery there, and these are going to be temporary. We are just placing these to sort of deal with the issues that we're having right now. So those are going to go out and start collecting the dead, and that's sort of step one. Step number two, I'm thinking, is going to be making sure that we have enough services in here, because that's another thing I've been slightly neglecting. If we have a look into healthcare, we do have a little medical center up here, but it has a capacity of 100. We have 222 sick people, so we want to get probably a hospital. I think that's going to be a pretty solid idea. When it comes to the other services like fire coverage, it could also be a little bit better. We do have a little fire station in the middle here, which is doing okay, but again, could be just that little bit better. And then for policing, which I'm sure is in here somewhere, and I'm just feeling so old looking at this because I just can't see it for the life of me. So you know what? We're going to do it this way. We'll have a look and see how we're doing. Policing's kind of doing okay. I think it could also be a little bit better, and I think that's kind of where I'm at today. So I'm going to clear out all of these buildings. All of these need to go. All of these buildings need to go. And I think what we do is we go and we build the high capacity hospital. It is $4,000 per week. It is $95,000, but the capacity is 800, which is so much more than we're going to be needing. And I'm going to build this guy, I want to say right there is where I'm going to build it, which gives it access to this bus stop down here. And I do know that people will walk through the footprint of this building as though it's a pedestrian path to get to this bus stop as well. So that's pretty good access. Although what I would like to do is go in here and just build a path anyway, because I do like to, I like to detail a little bit. I want a little path down here. I think it's going to be nice. So we'll just go ahead and extend this guy right up to the ends of the roads right there and right about there. I'm using the amusement park path simply because I love the contrast that comes with it. Much in the same way, I'm going to use the forestry fence in here because it's this beautiful, just very, very simple wooden fence that, again, I think it's just a cool kind of contrast against the concrete and glass of the hospital to have this little wooden fence down here. I like that a lot. Now, when it comes to this space, I think we take out a couple of buildings, and I think we go ahead and do a little something like this, just so we can zone in there. I think that's going to be important. And I think I'm also going to just make this road have slightly wider sidewalks so that the buses are pulling in off the road properly. I think up this way, we're going to go for an asymmetrical road so that we have 2 lanes going towards this intersection, which I think is going to be kind of important as well. And you know what? I think down here, we also make some upgrades. We give these guys some extra lanes too, just to make sure that traffic can get through all of these spaces. And then we'll control click here to get those lanes set up properly. Same story here, same story here. And that's hopefully going to help us out just a little bit. I'm hoping for good things from that space. I will say, I think we should go in and do a little bit of residential zoning right there just to make sure that space is set up properly. And I think that'll be pretty solid. I do. I'm slightly tempted to put like a parking lot in here just because, you know, parking next to the hospital and whatnot. I feel like that makes sense, but I'm not really too sure which parking lot to go for. We could go for the multi-story, but it's kind of huge. There are some parking lots in the Railroads of Japan pack, I think. Yeah, we have these guys, which are definitely a little bit smaller, but they would also kind of work. I don't know. I feel like it should be a multi-story. I really got no idea. We have this cool looking office as well. We have so many things that we can place, man. There's so many things that we could put in here, but I think for now we'll just leave it be. We kind of need the zoning. We kind of need the population. So taking away some residential space for some parking lots is maybe a little bit silly right now, but we can revisit that idea is what we can do. Now, when it comes to fire coverage, we're going to go in, we're going to take this guy out of here. We're going to take all of this away, which I'm pretty sure I did put some fences in and around as well. So these fences also need to go away, as does that path. And I think these buildings, oh, that was a really good building as well. They kind of need to go as well, just to make sure I have the space for the high capacity fire station, which has 40 fire engines, but fits in there kind of perfectly. I do like that. I don't love it next to these houses, but I do like that. I think that's kind of a cool spot for it. We're creating a nice central space for all of the emergency services. Although, I'm looking at this and I'm sort of thinking that it might be interesting to... Oh, do I want to do this? I'm thinking of putting a road back here, basically. So, basically doing something like this, and then putting the fire station on that so it has a little dedicated road. I don't mind that. I think that's kind of a cool idea. Not entirely sold by it, but I think it's kind of a cool idea. Do we want to do that though? If I changed it out for a pedestrian road, I could connect it straight through, but then I would have to create a pedestrian zone here. So I think this is what we're going to go for. I think I'm going to put trees down the middle of it though, just to decorate it a little bit, because that'll be a little bit nicer. I'm going to take out a couple of these buildings as well, and I'm hopeful that something cool builds in that space, although I would like to do I want to do a parking lot or do I want to do a plaza? What does this little plaza, that's quite small. What does this plaza look like? This is a large station front plaza. It is relatively big. I like it. Don't get me wrong. I think it looks amazing. I just think it's a little too understated for what I'm looking for here. So let's have a look and see what my other options are. We do have the Japanese garden, which I've always loved. It's a great looking little asset, but I don't think it's for here. This is way too big. And so you know what? I think we'll just do some commercial in here. I think that'll be totally fine. And hopefully this thing works really nicely for us. So that brings us on to policing. And we do have a high capacity police headquarters, which fortunately is going to fit pretty nicely in this space. We will have to get rid of this parking lot, which is totally fine. But what we can do is basically just build this guy in the footprint of where that was. So I'm going to put it right there, which I think is fine. I think it's definitely the smaller of the buildings, but that should be all right. I think this is okay. And then for the space next to it, I mean, that's a little 5x4 space. I'm going to take these two parks out of here. I'm going to take that fence out of here. And I guess we're just going to bulldoze that building for a second because I'm not really too sure why it's even building there. That's a little bit weird. Also, this is a 4x4 space. So maybe this is where we build one of those plazas. We could do something like, well, we can't do the tourist park. We can't do you either. Does this guy fit in here? No. Okay. So we're a little bit limited. Maybe we go for this guy. Does that look, that does kind of work there, doesn't it? That does kind of work there. I am wondering though, if I was to go in and use anarchy, I kind of want to place some trees in between all of those little planters. I think that's going to just make it look a tiny bit better for this space, especially because it's the linden tree and I do enjoy a good linden tree. And so now with everything running, we have a hugely upgraded emergency services junction here, I guess. I do like this. I think it looks pretty solid. I'm hoping for good things. And we do have some police cars heading out already, which is fantastic news. I am slightly tempted to turn this guy around to put it on the smaller road. But I think in general, it's just there's that much traffic in here that it's probably not going to make too much of a difference. Although I will say it might not be a bad idea, just because I can, to swap out these ambulances for the large ambulance. I think the police cars can just stay as police cars, although I might go random on those just because I can. I might do random on these as well, just so we have some variety. And then in here, I really don't want the mini fire engine, so I'm just gonna go with the large one because we can. And I think that'll look pretty good. Oh, look at that. We have one of the police command centers going out right there. And then one of the police supercars as well. That's very cool. I don't think I've ever actually used the police command center. This is like the first time I think I've ever actually seen it. And it's kind of cool looking, I guess. It's all right. And you know, just zooming out a little bit and having a look at everything, it looks like the death wave is mostly gone, which is fantastic news. We do still have a few people that need to be collected, but that's okay. I think we've managed to get out ahead of this, which is great news, and I'm very, very happy about that. We do have a bit of residential demand right now, commercial demand, and industrial demand. So I think what I might do is come up this way and start figuring out what some of this space is going to look like. I'm also, I realize that's such an awful segue, because it sounds like I'm not going to deal with the problems that we're having, but I feel like it's time to start figuring out a little bit of the office space up here. I will say, I'm really concerned about the fact that traffic does seem to be backing up here. I mean, it's getting through, don't get me wrong. We are seeing traffic move through here. It's just this tailback every single time is never a good thing. I mean, it's all turning towards the industrial space, so I guess if traffic wanted to go straight on, it could. What are you doing? Why are they going up and around instead of straight across? I guess technically, it is probably quicker for them to do that than it is to sit at the traffic lights, right? So if I was to go in and maybe just extend this road a little bit, so we'll go to here for now. And I think we're also going to maybe go a little bit further and then do like a 45, so 135 on this angle, sort of straight across like this. This area is going to be a nightmare to build in, by the way. Just so we're clear, I've really probably bitten off more than I can chew with this because of the hills that we're dealing with, but we'll figure that out. What I would like to do is go in and just take out some of the trees that are on this road, because whether I have anarchy on or not, they always just happen to appear on it. I think it's because collisions are off in here, actually. That's probably what's going on. But I think this will be fine. This will be the road that leads us straight through into what is going to become some kind of IT cluster thing or other. Really great description there from me. Now, I think what I'll do, just for the time being, oh man, I really have no idea how this space is going to work or what it's going to look like. But I think what I'd like to do is go through and just start putting some roads that kind of come out this way. I'm going to leave a little bit of extra space between these roads because some of them might end up getting upgraded to either avenues or the wide road with the 2 lanes. There is one of those as well. So we'll leave some extra space between these guys. We'll sort of come down here and try something similar. So we're going to go up to, I want to say about there should be fine. We'll leave a bit of a gap on this side as well. We'll go a little bit further, maybe 30. No, we'll go about the same actually. And then I think one more little section of road right here should be fine as well. So that's going to give us room for some city blocks, which is basically what I want this space to have. I want it to be kind of just a big old set of grids, simply because I am probably going to place a bunch of the buildings from the skyscrapers pack. And those all kind of look better on grids anyway. So we'll see how this works. We'll go and do a little something. Actually, you know what? We'll go to about there. We'll go to about there. And then we'll curve this around so it looks a little bit better, just like so. I think that's fine. I think this little road could be extended just ever so slightly and then brought across like this. I think that's all right as well. And I think we'll just bring these guys straight down as well. So we're really, really going in on this just being a bunch of grids and a bunch of squares right now. Some of these roads will probably get taken out. Some will probably get turned into one-way roads. But I want this to feel like a really sort of dense downtown-ish space. I'm also thinking I could probably do some kind of little city center thing here as well. So if I was to take out these roads, for example, and then what distance is this? That's going to be what, 13 units? If I go 13 here and 13 here and curve around on that entire space, we could probably decorate the space on either side of this avenue with something that might look kind of halfway decent, is my thinking. Also, have I used the same type of road in here? I totally have. Okay. We'll probably want to flatten this out as well, but I think I might be onto something here. Maybe. Okay, so I think for the time being, this will do just fine for the layout. Although what I would like to do is come in and just grab all of the nodes for all of the roads that surround this little square that I'm trying to put together. And this entire thing is going to have to come down to the same height, basically. Just across the board, it's all going to have to be nice and level, which is going to slightly mess with things, but I think we can make this work. I think if I just lower it down to this height, I mean, yes, that doesn't look great, but it is going to give me just a little kind of square that I can work with and decorate and make kind of look pretty, and that's sort of what I want to do. So now what I'm going to have to do is go through and just grab all of these different nodes and sort of raise some bits of road up and lower some down and just hopefully make this look like it still has some slopes to it, which I'm kind of hoping I can get away with. I think that looks okay. I think over this way it's going to be slightly trickier because we're dealing with some slightly steeper roads. But again, I think we can sort of get away with this if we just hit it with a slope right there. I can also use node controller to make sure that these are all sloped intersections. which is going to make life a little bit easier too. And honestly, I think I'm okay with this. I think if we hit this with a smoothing brush, we're still dealing with verticality in here, and that's something that I'm trying to hold on to with this space. I don't want it all to be perfectly flat, but I think having this space down here that I can put some park space into, probably an actual city park at that, I think it's going to look better. I think it's going to be a little bit more interesting than just a completely flat space to build in, because that's something that I feel like on paper, that always seems like a really good idea, like just a completely flat map to build on. And I've done that before. I just feel like it's going to look more interesting if we have some verticality to this space. And that's actually something that I realized with City Skylines 2, actually, with the Columbia County series, which people keep asking if it's coming back. It is 100% coming back. I just, as I've said before, I'm currently waiting on my new PC getting here because Cities 2 just runs kind of terribly on the one I have right now, which by all accounts it shouldn't. It's the same PC I've been running Cities 2 on for the longest time. It just, that map in particular for some reason just does not run very well, and I haven't yet quite figured out why. But regardless, it's mostly flat is what I realized. And I mean, it makes sense. Also, this is going to be flattened because I'm probably going to put some kind of like government building at the end of this. But yeah, it's a mostly flat map, and it's been really fun to build on. It's just after a little while, you kind of get like, can I deal with something beyond just like a flat canvas to work with here? It's cool. I still like Columbia County. I still load it up and fly around sometimes while waiting on this new PC getting here. But yeah, it's going to be nice doing that while having a map in Cities 1 that I can build on that has some verticality to it. And also in Cities 2, I'm going to be doing like, by the time I get up and going with this new PC, I've got this map, I've got Columbia County, and there's another one I want to do in Cities 2 as well. So I've got like, I'm going to be building like 3 cities at the same time. I don't know how I'm going to keep up, but I'm going to have a good time. I'm really feeling like just playing a lot of city builders lately. So this is going to be, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to getting this new PC and just going all out and just seeing, you know, can I maybe like how extreme can I go with my city building now? That's going to be the real test. How nuts can I get with my cities? How many people can I have before this new PC starts to lose its mind and get very angry with me? That's going to be the real test. Anyway, I think this space is looking okay. Let's see if we can find a decent building for the end of this road. We could do the stock exchange. So if I remember right, you can make a ton of money with this thing. If I remember correctly, this thing, yeah, this could be kind of fun. Okay, you know what? Let's do the stock exchange at the end of that road. That seems like a great idea. I know this thing can be leveled up as well. We have to get investment gains and we can, you know, manage investments here. Man, I don't know. I don't know who to go into here. Hold on a second. Let me have a look here. The Very Legit Company. You know, I might go with Traffic Jelly Logistics. They're on a pretty good downward turn right there. We could spend 2 million. I think what I'm going to do is, instead of doing that, can I type in here? No, I'm going to go for like 500 shares in this company. 501. So we're spending 1 million on the shares in this company. We'll see how that plays out, and hopefully good things will happen. We will decorate around the stock exchange here at some point, but I think for now, we're not going to worry too much about that. I think what I would like to do is actually get some more services out here. So we have the high capacity hospital that we can build again. I don't think I'm going to go for the exact same hospital this time. I think what I might do is just go for something like this one, which is it's got 500 patient capacity. That's pretty solid, and it fits pretty well into like the squares that I've done here. I think we'll put it over this way, just so or maybe even down here. I don't actually know where to put this thing. Maybe, I want to have some room around it to do a little bit of decorating. I don't mind there, but I think we just go for here is what we do. I think that's a decent little spot for a hospital. That'll be pretty good for us. When it comes to fire coverage, maybe the high capacity one again. It's a little expensive, but I think just for the sake of it, we'll do a little high capacity fire station sort of over this way. And then for policing, we'll do the same thing. We'll go for the high capacity police headquarters, which I'm going to say is going to go maybe on the same block as the fire station, just because it's so much smaller. We can kind of have it over there and we can do some stuff like, parking lots and stuff in that area, which will be totally fine. We could also use this as an opportunity to put some decent sized parking lots next to the hospital, which is something I absolutely think we should be doing. So let's have a bit of a look through if I can remember which category they're in right there. So this thing is huge, but again, it probably makes sense. So we'll do it right back there. And I think I'm okay with that. We can change the style of it if we want to. We can go for just the gray, or we can put the wood paneling around it. I think the wood paneling looks fantastic. So that's kind of what we're going to go for in that particular space. And then that kind of leaves us with what else? So we have fire, we have policing, we have a hospital. We could do a little bit of education out here. We do have a little bit of elementary demand that we are not providing for. So if I wanted to, I could throw a high capacity elementary school into this neighborhood. I say neighborhood. It's going to be a relatively dense kind of not industrial, but IT cluster type space. But yeah, I think we'll do a high capacity elementary school. Maybe, I don't know where to put this thing actually. I'm kind of thinking back here because we will probably have people living out here. So I think a high capacity elementary school there is a good pick. We could also do a high capacity high school, which I'm fairly sure we have some demand for. So we'll build this guy and I'm going to put it, I like the idea of up here. Honestly, I like the idea that the school is going to be facing this sort of park, or at least very, very close to it. I do like that as a bit of an idea. So let's go for, I guess here, I mean, it's not facing it, but it's right next to it. And then I can put some buildings on the main avenue. So sure, we'll do the high school, or maybe just way up here. We have this space for a potential park as well. So actually, let's put this guy in here and we'll build a park around it. Although that's really supposed to be a wall-to-wall building, isn't it? Just based on what I'm seeing from the back of it and like this side of it. We might want to change that up a little bit. This one looks fine. This one's quite nicely detailed the entire way around. This one, just a bit less so. I think what I'll do is just put it out here and then we'll zone some stuff around it and set that as its own little district with wall-to-wall buildings so that this thing blends in a little bit better. I think that's probably the best pick. And then when it comes to the high capacity university, we do have university demand, and we do have this guy, which is quite expensive, but it is a very cool looking building. And I do like the idea of having this thing somewhere. So let's maybe take out this road and we'll do a high capacity university there just because we can. It does have some space behind it that we can sort of decorate a little bit. I could swear there's a building like this. I'm pretty sure I've seen a building that looks very similar to this in, well, Sweden of all places. I'm pretty sure I've seen a university or a college that looks really similar to that. I don't remember where, but very, very similar to that somewhere. Now, when it comes to districts, I think this area in the middle here is just going to be an entire sort of park space. I think we'll make it into a nice walkable area for people to hang out and sort of do their things. So we'll just fill this in like so, and that gives us Birch pedestrian area. When it comes to actual districts themselves, I think up this way is going to be, I think this entire little kind of block here can be a bunch of wall-to-wall developments. So it's going to be quite a modern kind of trendy looking development, which is totally fine. I think we can get away with that. So that's going to be Madison Square, which I do like the name of, actually. I think that's pretty cool. We could do maybe a little something for this space as well. I'm not really too sure what it's gonna be in terms of design or whatever, but we'll figure that out. We'll just get it painted in like so, and that is gonna give us Rosewood District, which I'm fine with. And then I think the rest of this is just gonna be, like I said, sort of an IT cluster thing. So we're actually gonna go down and take over a little bit of Rosewood District there, and I want this thing to cover that main road as well. So it's gonna come the entire way down here, down to about there. I'm going to bring it over, and I think I'm going to take over this one block as well, just so that we're not dealing with districts that are, you know, perfect. I don't think they need to be. And then what we can do with Madison Square is say that we want the residential wall-to-wall buildings in there, we want the office wall-to-wall buildings in there, and we want the commercial wall-to-wall buildings in there as well. Then for Fawn Park, we could go for financial office buildings. We could go for IT cluster. I think we actually need to split Fawn Park up a little bit, is what that tells me, because I do want some financial buildings in here. I think what we can do is maybe have some regular office specialization in Rosewood, but then maybe we want to get a new district. So Fawn Park is going to be our financial district. I think what we do is we cut across here and we go up a little bit like this. And this can then be our IT cluster, I suppose, which is a bit of a weird space for it, but I think that'll be okay. So that's Garnet Square, which is anything but a square. Let's maybe even go so far as bringing this down a little bit like this. So we kind of have Garnet Square there. We have Fawn Park, which covers some of the park. Honestly, I want to say Garnet can come over like this because some of that space is going to be just a park anyway. So that should be fine. Rosewood District can come up to this road here. And so that gives us this area for Fawn Park, which is going to be our financial district. And I think I'm sort of okay with that. So now when it comes to this central park that we're dealing with here, I think what we'll do is put a little entrance right there, which is apparently not a part of the district, which is really odd for me. That's something. Oh, I did a pedestrian area instead of a park area. I am an idiot. Okay, I guarantee you probably noticed that before I did, but that's fine. We'll come down a little something like this, and I'm gonna have to tidy up that bit on the right there that I just messed up. But, oh, good. Fantastic. Okay, so now we have the districts rebuilt. I had to replace just everything in here because apparently my last autosave was conveniently about 9.5 minutes before the game crashed, and autosaves are every 10 minutes, so that's fun and just frustrating, but it is what it is. That's just how these things work. It's at least autosaving is enabled by default in this game, unlike certain other city builders. That is something about Cities 2 that I don't know if it's changed, but the amount of times I have been, talking to people about Cities 2 and I'm like, hey, you're trying it out. Cool. You might want to turn on autosaving. And it's like, what? What do you mean turn on autosaving? It's not on by default? No, it isn't. The amount of things that I have lost in Cities 2 because autosaving is not enabled by default it's infinitely frustrating how many times that has happened, because it resets every time you install the game. And when you're dealing with mods and updates and different game versions and all that stuff, you end up needing to reinstall a lot, and it's just not something I ever think of. You know, every video game, well, not every video game, but most video games, when you boot them up, they're like, hey, when this symbol shows, that means the game is saving. Try not to close it or whatever. And Cities 2 was like, yeah, good luck with that. It's like the only game that I can think of that has autosaving off by default. It's such an odd choice, and I've never really understood it, but yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. It is on in Cities 1, which is nice. I've got that going for me, so I can't complain too much. I'm also not entirely sure what I'm going to do with this park. If I'm honest, I've sort of done this weird little path layout, and if I'm completely honest, I don't love it. So I think I'm going to just slightly change that up and go for something. I think I'm going to connect across like this. And we unfortunately don't have a midpoint in there. That's kind of annoying. I mean, I could probably get one, right? If I turn off like all the snapping options, is that a thing? Can I like get this to, no. Okay. That's not great. Can I get this guy to, I guess what I could do is try to sort of line up in the middle here and then just do something like this. And I suppose that'll work. So if I do this and then connect you across and you across here, and then do the same thing over on the other side, we can just have one path down through the middle, which I think is probably better than... I honestly don't know. I don't know what I want to do with this space. We could have a little bit of fun with it. If I turn on my angles and grids and road lengths and whatnot, I could, if I can get it to work, which it apparently doesn't really want to do. Come on, just work with me here. Just work with me here. Come on. This is, there we go. I could do something like this, and then something like, if I can get this one to snap as well, that'd be kind of cool. Basically my thinking would be something like that. Obviously some slight issues there with collisions, but you get the idea. If I do something like this, and then merge those together, does that looks weird. Maybe not. I guess something like this will work for the time being. The only thing we need to do now is put a line of trees around this entire thing, and I want to go for something like the horse chestnut trees, because I think they're just going to look that little bit better. So we're going to start right here. We're going to go for maybe spacing of about 15 between them. I think that's pretty solid. And honestly, looking at this, I might have more luck just doing this one by one. So if I just sort of space these out as best I can, because these curves are going to be such a pain to deal with. I think it's just going to be quicker, especially because I really don't get how the line tool works. I think the one I'm using is the one that's like was added to City Skylines. I don't think it's a modded one that I'm using, because I remember the modded one being so much easier to use than whatever this one is. Although I will say it'll be pretty good for here, because that's just a nice straight line that I'm dealing with. And it'll be pretty good for about here, because that's also a nice straight line that I'm dealing with. And then I can just place the single little tree that's missing in that spot. And yeah, I think these will be okay. I might change out that central road for something that has grass on the sides instead of trees down the middle. Or we could just do... No, that's way too much. That's way too much. Yeah, we're gonna have to change out that road in just a moment. But first things first, we'll get the trees just down to about here. And then I think we just go through and use a tree brush to paint a bunch of different trees into some of this space. Because I think what I'm wanting with this is that it is just going to be this really, really dense forest that you can walk through right in the middle of a bunch of skyscrapers. So we'll do a little something like this as much as we possibly can. I do have prop and tree anarchy off. I do have anarchy off. And I do have collisions enabled, so it's going to be very, very careful with where it places these trees. But at the very least, this will give us something nice and dense to work with, and I can go in here and carve out some parts where I might want to do some little benches or something like that. I would like to get our density up a little bit, just to, oh my god. I might have made a mistake right there. Let's take some of you out of there. Let's bring that density right back down a little bit, and we'll go for slight, a slight density increase here and there, but definitely not what that was about to be. We'll do the same over on this side. We'll just increase the density a little bit like so. And like I said, the whole goal here is I do just want this to be a really, really dense forested area that you can kind of get lost. I say get lost in. It's a single path, but that seems fine. I think I can work with that. And then what we can do is maybe carve out a little bit of space right here. For example, we can go into our park decorations, and we do have things like park plazas that I can place in here, but they don't look, it doesn't look the best is what I'm thinking. My thought process was maybe something like some restrooms could go somewhere in here, or even just a bunch of little benches. We could do something like this, like get a nice little seating area for people to kind of sit and have lunch, maybe away from their offices and whatnot. I think something like that would be kind of cool. It'd be good if I could get like, oh, I could do an ice cream van as well. I could do like this guy over sort of this to the side here. I think that's kind of a cool spot. I think I'm going to do an ice cream van as well. I mean, it's on the grass. Maybe actually just sort of off the side of the path would make more sense for that guy. Maybe the same for you as well. You can sort of be like here. I think that makes a little bit more sense. And do I want to do any like, oh, I could do like a little market thing as well. A little food stall would be really cool. We'll put one of those maybe here. We'll do another one sort of next to it. we'll go just really close to it like this, maybe a third one, just because we can, like a little mini kind of market thing right there. Seems like such a cool idea. Okay, that should do the job for these parks for the time being. There's a little bit of detailing in there, but nothing too crazy and certainly nothing too fancy, but it's enough for now. So I think before we go ahead and start zoning in here, I do want to take some services into account. And so I think we're going to get a little bus station right here. And what I think we'll also do is get ourselves just a little road, or a little path rather, that goes behind this guy and goes down to here, and also goes all the way up to about there as well, so that this is going to be a relatively nicely walkable space for everybody. I do think these paths need to go right up against these roads as well, just to look that little bit better. We could do some zoning in here, but I think what's more likely to happen is I'll do some fences around this, maybe a little bit of zoning in here. Not really too sure what I'd put in that space, if I'm completely honest, although I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tempted to do some metro stuff for this area specifically, and then start to expand it over to the rest of the city a little bit later on. We could do a couple of metro stations like this if we wanted to. We could do the large underground metro station in here as well, which would be an option, but I feel like should be slightly more central. I'm pretty sure we do have some really interesting looking, yeah, the Metro Plaza station. If we can get 11,000 people, we can get our hands on the Metro Plaza station, which would be kind of amazing. I know it looks pretty decent. If we filter by metro here, though, we do have the Sunken Island Platform Metro Station, which by all accounts could go like this, which might look sort of interesting, I suppose, if we wanted to have the metro visible. We have the Sunken Bypass Metro Station, which is also kind of cool looking, but not necessarily as cool looking. I don't know. I'm slightly tempted to put some metro stuff in here is basically what I'm thinking. We have the railroads of, oh, that's such a small little metro entrance. I love that. I guess something like this will work. The Sunken Bypass Metro Station. I want it to be open because I just want to be able to see the trains at least a little bit, and this is sort of going to let us do that. It also means that with this sort of going in that direction, we can eventually bring the trains to the surface so we can see them crossing the bridge here before they go back underground for this initial part of Nerdchester. So this should work out relatively nicely, although what I think we're going to do is probably stick with some of the standard stations that we have in here. I could use the Railroads of Japan one because it is so tiny, but I think just because I can, I'm going to go with like the underground metro station, or maybe I'll just use this. The parallel underground metro station would give us, it would give us 2 sets of tracks, and actually building that here might not be the worst idea in the world. It's very close to that other station though, is my only concern. Like unnecessarily close, but I think we're going to do this. So we have that connection there. The tracks on the right can kind of loop around this area. The tracks on the left there can eventually go over to the city. And so now I think we do just switch back to the standard City Skylines metro station. So we'll put a metro stop right there. I think we put a metro stop maybe right here. That can sort of curve around. And the one thing I'm going to say, and I haven't said this in a very long time, is that I am not all that interested in having this metro flow super realistically while it's underground. Now, while it's above ground, I will absolutely do everything I can to make sure that it makes sense. While it's below ground, I couldn't care less. Is basically where I'm at. So I'm going to have super like sharp turns on this because it just doesn't matter. We're never really gonna see it is kind of my thing. So I'm really not all that concerned about how this thing looks on the underground side of things because like I said, we're never really gonna see it. That's kind of where I'm at with it. So we'll bring this guy out. We'll kind of curve this around a little bit. So that's not terrible. This won't be terrible either, but some of the curves that I'm going to be putting in here are going to be, well, they're going to be rough is what they're going to be. They're going to be rough. Like this one. It doesn't necessarily make sense. It doesn't necessarily look great, but it's practical, and that's kind of what I need it to be. So we're going to do something like this. Whoever gets on that train can enjoy that. Is what they can do. That's going to be a bit of a wild ride for them. And then for this guy, I think what we do is we're just going to bring this sort of down like so. And that's kind of how we're going to get around that space. These guys just get connected together like that. And we are actually going to have to, well, we're going to have to go underground to work with this. Isn't there like a, is there a, how do I see underground with move it? I don't remember. There we go. Ooh, that's a little rough looking there, isn't it? We might have to move this guy. I don't love what's going on there. So yeah, this is all going to have to come out for a second. You are going to have to get shifted along to like there, which is messing with the terrain still. That's not good. What if I put you down here? Does that mess with the terrain? It does not. Again, very close together, but oh, that's way too close together. That looks terrible. What if I move, I can't grab it because the district's in the way. What if I move you down this away a little bit? That looks slightly more acceptable, I think. Only slightly, but I'll take it. That's fine. And I guess this is sort of what we're dealing with for now. So let's go ahead and get some trains going around here as best we possibly can so that people can loop around this particular district. We'll have one going that way. And in terms of vehicles, we do have some options. We have the Airport Express, we have the Metro, we have Metro 1, Metro 2, Metro 3, Metro 4, Metro 4 again. I kind of just want to go with like the subway train. Although I think this one's like the London Underground one as well. We also have a Railroads of Japan one. I think we're going to go with the Underground train because that's the London Underground style one. And I think this line is going to be just red. We'll just go with that like default sort of City Skylines red right there. We'll figure out the number of vehicles on it in just a little bit because I do want to go and have one going in the opposite direction here. I'm also feeling like we're missing a stop in this space, but given how close these are all together, I don't even know if that's going to be necessary. You again are going to go to that red right there, and the vehicle type is going to be the underground train, which is fine. So there we go. We'll have those loop around, and that should be pretty good for us. I do want to get some buses going around here as well, and that's kind of why we have this station, which I realize is not all that close to a metro station. Can I move you up to here? I totally can, and I feel like that's a great idea. I do. I feel like that's a great idea. Let's sort of flip the script a little bit on what we were doing in this space, because what I can do is just put this little path into this area right here instead of where I was going to put it before. And we can just sort of nudge this across like so to about that spot. And that's going to be a pretty good little transport hub, I think. That's going to be kind of fantastic. So in terms of buses, I think we want to have, let's see, how do I want to do this? I think I want to have something sort of looping around. Do I want to have them stop on the avenue? That feels like a really bad idea, although the avenue does have grass on it. So if we have them stop on the avenue, they can pull in properly, which I think is fine. So I think we can get away with it. We'll have them sort of go around like this. We'll have them go up to here or maybe down to here. So they stop in front of the metro. That could be a pretty good idea. I think I do like the idea of it just looping around this district, but also at the same time, if people can just get around this entire space by metro, do we need buses looping around here? Would I be better with buses just going back and forth and then have the metro loop around? That might not be the worst idea in the world. So instead of doing like loops here, oh, I don't know. I actually don't really know what I want to do here. Okay, so I might have slightly overdone it here, but it's safe to say that if you want to get somewhere in this area, you can absolutely do that, and that's kind of the point. The only thing we're missing is a bus line that's going to go from this little station over to this station here, because I think that's something we should absolutely have to connect these two districts together. Obviously, there will be a subway line that does that eventually, but for now, I think we can get away with this. And I'm going to make it bright red as well. And we're going to say that the vehicles on this line, I don't want to add vehicles, I want to remove those. The vehicle type on this line will be the same as everywhere else in this area, which is just that new sort of London double-decker. And so that brings us to zoning this entire space. We do have some commercial demand. We have a decent amount of residential demand as well. So I think what we'll do is put a bunch of commercial zoning next to this school and then sort of surround the back of it with residential. I think over here is all going to be residential as well, although I want to make sure that I'm working with my districts, which I absolutely am. So this needs to be extended up just ever so slightly like this to make sure that all the buildings we're putting in here are going to be wall-to-wall buildings, which is what we're looking for. I think this space, I might actually go in and say that we want to kind of remove zoning around this metro station just because I can put some decorations in there. I think we're going to want some commercial in that area. I think this will be decorative as well. And that is all hopefully a part of that district, which it absolutely is. Hickory Square is something I'm not too sure about. I don't know how I'm going to necessarily decorate this because it's a bit of a mess. So maybe what we do is we extend this district down here to this road, and Hickory Square can kind of just go away. Hickory Square is actually this entire spot as well. So you know what? Yeah, let's extend Lake Hills down to this main avenue here. And then we can do a little bit of office zoning in here just because that's an option that we have. And I think what I'm also going to do is go in around this metro station with some paths because we can. Whether or not those are accessible from this end, I don't know, but I think that looks better. And then moving across to Crescent Square, this is our IT cluster. So these buildings, these IT buildings, what am I looking for? Office buildings, that's the word. These are going to be kind of huge. So I think what I might do, just because I can, is go into my unique buildings section here, go down to the content creator packs. And if we click on this big S right here, this gives us a bunch of skyscrapers. So we could place some unique buildings in here to create a bit of a skyline if we really wanted to. I'm not really too sure what buildings I would go for. I'm not really too sure what I'm sort of looking for from a skyline in this space. Although that one kind of works really nicely. That is going to take up a big chunk of my my IT cluster, though. It's maybe a little bit too much. I don't really know. I definitely don't want to go for things like this. We do have this guy, which is a pretty cool looking building and a fair bit smaller. We have the marble building, which is quite cool as well. Maybe I hold off. Maybe we don't go all in on big old buildings just yet. Although this one, oof. That's also probably way too big for this city, at least at the moment. I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself ever so slightly, but I'm just kind of wanting to, get some big buildings in here. I do like the idea, like this one in particular. It's, maybe not. It's just a lot of concrete, isn't it? Maybe not. Maybe not that one. This one, I really have no idea. What about you? That looks like it's got a lot of glass on it. Would that look kind of cool in here? It might. I think I'll put it here. And yeah, I can sort of work with that. I think that looks kind of cool. I want like one or two others. I don't want to go too crazy with this, but I think like one or two other cool looking buildings, like that one is kind of neat as well. I think that works really nicely in that space. And then one more. That one's maybe a little bit too big. That one's definitely way too big. Although I do think this one looks quite cool, and it does sort of hide the back of the elementary school, which I think is fine by me. That does have me curious about whether or not we should do something similar with the high-capacity high school, although we do have a bunch of zoning around it that should make that look a bit better. I think what we'll do then is just zone this space. We'll zone, that's not the zoning button. We will zone this space, and I'm going to do a little bit of zoning just in here as well to see what we get out of that with it being an IT cluster. Up this way is going to be our financial district, so I think we'll do something similar. We'll just zone those spaces. We can zone this and this, which will be fine, and we'll zone you as well. And I guess that's going to be a lot of space. That's going to be a lot of zoning. But we'll see how it goes. That district actually goes over to this block as well. So if we wanted to, we could look at getting more financial buildings in there. And I do sort of want to. That is sort of the point of this entire space. Now, Birdsong Heights covers this entire area. So I think what we do is a bit of residential in here, just because I think that makes sense. It is going to be wall to wall, which means it's not going to look particularly amazing with everything that we have going on here, but I think we'll have to just try and make this work somehow, some way. I could use ploppable buildings. We have ploppable Rico, but I think for now this will be okay. This area back here, I was thinking we would maybe build some decorative stuff back here, but I'm kind of more inclined to say that a little bit of commercial down there could be good, and a bit of residential back here, even if they're dealing with the sound of the emergency services non-stop. I think that'll be all right. As for this space, I do feel like putting a little plaza in here sort of makes the most sense. So if we go back into the Railroads of Japan pack, we do have those little station front plazas that I think would look kind of good in one of these spaces. So maybe just 2 of them? Is that a bit too much? No, I think that actually looks okay. I think I can work with that. And then what we can do is bring this path back through here. We can extend it to this road. And then over here, we'll do something with some fences, basically. We'll do a little something that goes from right about here and goes all the way to, let's see, am I going to have to turn off my road lengths? I think I am. We're going to go to right about there, I think. We'll do the same thing. Oh, hold on a minute. I have to turn off collisions, don't I? We want to do the same thing that goes down to about there. And we want to go down to, let's see if I can get this to work, which I totally can, right to about there. And I think that's okay. I think we can work with that. I think what I'd like to do is get some nice buildings along there. I'm not too sure about these trees, but I think we can maybe make this work. Spacing wise, we'll go for 15, which I think is the right call. Although does that maybe 16? Would 16 be better for the spacing here? Maybe 14 would be better just to get one tree at the end of this. There we go. I think that's pretty good. I think it nicely surrounds the space. I would maybe like to do the linden trees on some of these planters again though, because I did really like that over in the main part of Nerdchester, which I guess is no longer sort of the main part of Nerdchester, huh? Like this is kind of becoming the new main part of the city, right? I mean, it kind of has to be. It's going to be super dense and super high rise, but I'm hoping anyway that it's going to look good. I'm hoping people are going to want to live here and that it doesn't fall apart. But I think that looks okay. I think that's a cool looking space. In terms of zoning this entire area, we haven't done all of it yet. Rosewood District, for example, needs some work. This guy, if I manage my investments, how are we looking right now? The shares haven't moved at all because I haven't been running the game. So I guess we'll let things run is what we'll do. I also need to put pipes, I think, under these roads. I don't know what mods I have running, so I really have no idea if I do need to put pipes under these roads, but just to be safe, we'll do a little bit of pipe work right here. Although I realize I never did that for the industrial district, so that was kind of a waste of time, but we'll not worry too much about it. We do have some buildings out here that seem to have burnt down, so we will need to do something about that. But looking over here, we have this starting to come together, which is really exciting. Some of the buildings are, I mean, these look, they look okay. they look all right. They're sort of filling in the space. Oh, wow. That one's even taller than the building I placed. Wow. Oh, I love this. I do. I'm really excited about these financial buildings as well. I mean, some of them are going to look terrible, to be perfectly, not that the building looks bad, but with the terrain around them, they're not going to be great looking, but that's fine. That's just something we're going to have to deal with. What I will do is come into this space and we're just going to do a little path that kind of runs around the back of that building just to fill in the area. But I like this. I do. We've got people coming out here. We've got all of my buses coming out here now, which I absolutely adore. It's very, very cool. What are you doing? Oh my God. You did not just... Okay. I don't like that we have vehicles, well, buses specifically, that are U-turning right there, but that's fine. I guess it's going to have to be. What I think we will have to do though, just to improve things ever so slightly, is probably go in here and just upgrade some of these roads. I think some of these guys definitely should have more lanes, like the roads that kind of go, you know, off of this main one should have a little bit more capacity. I don't think all of them need a ton more capacity. This one in particular is going to be tricky because of the fact that it has some bus stops on it. So this one I think is going to get changed to have wider sidewalks, so no one's parking in there and the buses have a bit more room to pull in, which I think is good. Over this way, maybe we just sort of downgrade you because we can. We'll give you the wider sidewalks so the buses do have the room to pull in properly. We'll do the same thing kind of down here and here and here because, again, the buses can kind of pull in properly. And I think we're just sort of going to try to make these roads just flow that little bit better. So up this way, we can do something similar. Oh, wait, we have a bus stop there as well. That's really annoying. Okay. We'll get this one upgraded at least. We'll upgrade this one too. These guys, oh man, I've got the bus stops in really awkward spots, don't I? But it'll be fine, is what it'll be. It'll be hopefully okay, hopefully fine. Anyway, what we can do is control-click on a bunch of these intersections just to get the lane math that little bit better, so that all of my traffic is doing what I want it to be doing. So same story up to here as well. Same story with this intersection and with this intersection and with this one, which I guess is 2 lanes going to the right. That's probably fair enough since we have a bunch of buses going that way. I think I've got most of the intersections that I need to worry about sorted out there as well, which is great news. I guess now we just sort of wait. We kind of just need people to move in. We have a lot of residential demand still, so if I wanted to, I could go and swap out some of these commercial buildings for residential buildings. That might not be the worst idea in the world. I think this block in particular, we're going to swap out for residential because, again, we have that demand. And I'm kind of thinking that, I mean, I like this multi-story, but I'm slightly tempted to move it, and I don't know where I'd move it to. Because it's cool that we have this, it's just, it is taking up some relatively valuable space. I mean, I could put it there, but then the first thing you see coming into this district is a multi-story parking lot, which I don't necessarily love. Although I suppose this kind of works, just having it on its own little road at the back of the hospital. It gives me a tiny bit of space here for some more residential zoning, which we do absolutely need. I could zone around the outsides here as well, which I probably should do, actually. That's going to let me start getting buildings kind of close to this intersection as well, which is definitely something I do want to be doing. So let's go to about here, and that seems fine. I think we can work with that. I think we want to make sure that this is also going to be a part of that district, so we'll kind of bring this all over, and then we'll zone this square with some residential zoning as well, because again, we do have that demand. We also happen to have a decent bit of commercial demand. So I think what we do is we bring this district down onto this road, and then obviously off of that road because we want it to be nice and tidy. And we could do a bunch of commercial zoning kind of in some of these spaces. So a bunch of commercial up to about there with a bunch of residential, maybe to about there. That's not residential. Let's do that slightly differently, actually. Let's do the commercial down this way, right to about that spot, and then residential for the rest of it. And that'll slowly fill out that space, which I'm completely fine with, and it's going to give us buildings relatively close to this intersection, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So hopefully that's going to do some good things for us. We also, oh wow, we have a ton of traffic coming in here, and it's also, oh, it is doing what it's supposed to be doing. That's fine. I don't love how they're merging over here. That's not exactly ideal, but we can probably figure that out if I just sort of stick them in lane there, stay in lane there, stay in lane there. They can kind of merge a little bit further back, which I think is fair enough. I could even say that they just merged on the roundabout. They go into the correct lane a bit further back that way, but we'll see how this goes. I do think, if I remember right, we do have timed traffic lights here. If I stop this and I look for the state that lets them move, Yeah, it's from 3 to 8 seconds, whereas this one is 3 to 16. So if we modify you to 16, and I think we want to change it. If we have a look at you, it is no one waiting that we're looking for. So we want to do the same thing here. We'll save that. We will start and we will skip forward to this step. And so now that's hopefully going to let a lot of this traffic through, which is what we're looking for. I'm also slightly tempted to, just given how much traffic's going to be trying to get in there. Oh, wow. All of this lane merging going on down here is not ideal. I never set this up properly, or maybe I messed with the road at one point. Let's just get this all tidied up a little bit. And I realize this is going to be a little bit of a mess because I think, well, I might be wrong on this actually. Do we have any merging points in here? We don't. So traffic coming off of this road can only ever go left, which is kind of a problem. So I'm going to need to, oh boy, I need to do this. I need to add a node to the middle of this so that they now have a spot that they can merge. At least I'm hoping. Yeah, they do. That has messed this up again, but that's honestly okay. I think we can work with that. And I guess now we just kind of wait to see what happens. We have people merging in sort of some weird ways up here, but that's honestly okay. We're having some issues with not enough workers for a bunch of our commercial buildings as well, which is not exactly ideal, and I'm not 100% sure what the problem is. You're looking for well-educated workers, educated workers. That's going to be slightly problematic because we only just got high schools, but we'll see how that goes. I'm assuming similar problem with a lot of the financial stuff. They're looking for, yeah, different levels of educated workers. That's honestly okay. I think I can sort of deal with that, and I can sort of put up with having to bulldoze some buildings here and there, because it does seem like the residential demand is just going through the roof right now. So let's just extend this district a little bit further. We'll go out to about there, and we'll just do another bunch of residential zoning right at the end of that road and see what happens, basically. We can do similar down here as well, and that's probably something we are going to have to do, because I do think we're going to need to seriously increase the number of people that are, well, living in here and available to work in here. But I do like how this is coming together. I do. I might want to get some high rises in some of this space, but I think this is kind of cool. I think over here as well, I think this needs swapped out for something that has a bit more density to it. So actually, let's have a look at our districts. What are we dealing with here? So Birdsong Heights, I think we're going to make it slightly smaller. I think we're going to take over this little block right here, and hopefully that's going to give us something with a considerable amount more density in terms of residential zoning. So if we take all of those out and we go and have a look at our specialities, we have self-sufficient buildings, which is fine. I'm pretty sure some of the residential self-sufficient buildings do have a good amount of height to them. If we look at Crescent Square in terms of styles, Brooklyn and Queens, I don't think it's going to give us much in terms of height. So I think just, again, for a bit of variety, we'll do self-sufficient housing. And I think we just hope for the best with this. I am going to take out the commercial here, though. And we'll do a couple of little towers just like this. Down this way, we can do sort of similar. And then maybe a little tower right there, a little tower right there. Should look okay. This space in the middle, how would I want to do this? I think we just leave it like that. I think we just let this space build up. Relatively sure they're going to have some height to them, which is kind of what I'm looking for in this area. They have decent height to them, which is completely fine. I can kind of work with that. And then my thinking here would be that we go through with some roads, and I'm hoping I can do this in such a way as to not completely mess with the zoning in here. So if we pause for a second while I do something like this, it doesn't mess with the zoning here, which is fantastic. I do want to use Move It to just shuffle this over a little bit so it's a little bit more seamless, which is fantastic. Does that mess with zoning? It doesn't. Okay. Can I do the same thing down here is my next question. I want to go from here straight down to about there. And again, it doesn't look to have messed with anything, which is great news. So again, we'll use move it just to nudge it over and look a little bit more seamless, which I think that right there does. That's pretty good. I just want this space to be kind of walkable. That's my thinking here. I want this to be a nice kind of walkable area. So we'll do maybe a little bit of a road or a little bit of path right there, a little bit of a path right there. And I'm just going to sort of connect those together like so. And again, that kind of gives us a nice little, that's not what I wanted to do at all. That is not even close to what I wanted to do. I wanted to get rid of the little bit at the end so I can kind of flip the road around and have all of my street lights going in the same direction. That's what I wanted to do right there. And do I want some paths that go through the middle? Do we need a path that goes right through the middle? I guess we can. I guess it doesn't necessarily hurt to have a path that kind of connects down to this bus stop, actually. That seems kind of cool. And I think what we'll also do, since this is an area with the self-sufficient buildings, is we'll go ahead and do something like this. We'll get some grass along those roads. And I kind of like that. I do. I like that a lot. We just need to put some trees in here and decorate the area, and we've got ourselves a little self-sufficient district with a little kind of park space in here, which is kind of fantastic. So we'll do a nice big tree right there, a nice big tree maybe right about here, so you've got some shelter at the bus stop. And there we go. It's a little bit of a mess, but I feel like it kind of should be. I like the idea that it's just this natural little space between all of these buildings. It's also sort of a continuation of the park we have in the middle, which I really enjoy. Oh, and would you look at this? We are now a big city, which means we have the crematorium, which I absolutely adore. That thing is going to be hugely important. We have the Metro Plaza station as well, which is also hugely important. Very, very happy about this. Very, very happy about this. I do think we should go ahead and get ourselves a crematorium or two out here. Not necessarily, well, yeah, no, we probably do want a crematorium out here. I don't really know where I'm going to put it, but we definitely want one. Actually, I think I do know where I'm going to put it. We're going to take this out of here, and we're going to put it right there, is what we're going to do, right next to the subway, right in the middle of that residential district. We are having some traffic problems through here, which I kind of suspected was going to happen. I kind of had a feeling this was going to be the case. We might honestly need to reconsider this road, is what I'm thinking. This might have to get changed into a couple of pedestrian roads, and then we just allow traffic to go straight through, or we have this go up and over the main road. I'm not really too sure what we do with this, but it's definitely not working for traffic. Although, I do want to have a look at our timed traffic lights again, because if we stop the timer and we show this, yeah, these guys still have the 8-second timer. So if I switch this to no one is waiting and change that to 16, and we save that, we start and we skip until we get to that step. I'm curious to see what that does for us in terms of letting traffic out of this entire space, which by the looks of it, it's kind of doing. I mean, admittedly, there was no one waiting, but yeah, that's maybe the ticket, is just sort of the longer timers for this intersection. I'm determined to make this thing work. Basically, that's kind of my goal. I am determined to make this intersection work. Now, I will admit, we are 100% going to have to get another highway connection for this district. Not 100% sure what that's going to look like or how it's going to work. It'll likely be up this way, but we're 100% going to have to do that because this one intersection is not going to be enough for this entire space. I mean, Lake Hills, for example, has a population of 1,600 at the moment and climbing. Crescent Square has 166 and decreasing, which is fine. Birdsong has 40, and Rosewood has none, but it will have some eventually. So we're going to want to give our Sims some options, especially over here. Oh my God. What is this? Why is this a thing? Oh man. Hold on. Let me see here. Does that improve things? That sort of did. Why are they going out? I don't really understand what they're doing. I'm not going to lie. I'm not really too sure why this is the way it is. It's very, very strange. Can I get you guys to go to like both of those lanes? Is that an option? Is that, they're still wanting, okay. That's not what I was expecting them to do. I kind of wonder then, if I was to just extend this road out here a little bit to say, there, we'll turn off straight slope as well, so this kind of conforms to the terrain a bit better. Does that get, no, they're still going out there. Okay. Yeah, more power to them, I guess. Yep, you guys, you do you. You guys do you. Okay, so while this isn't necessarily perfect just yet, I am kind of happy with how this has turned out. I love the mix of buildings that we have going on. I'm just really, really pleased with how this space has come together. I will admit, it doesn't necessarily use the terrain height differences all that much, but I still kind of like how it's turned out. I'm really, really happy with it. Although there's not that many people using the buses around here at the moment, which is kind of concerning. There's also 0 vehicles on bus line 10 right now, which is the one that runs from the main part of town into this new part of town. And that's a problem because there's 897 people waiting here to go to that other part of town. There's 900 waiting in the other part of town. So, you know, we might want to do something about that. Now, I think what we'll go ahead and do is maybe use something like the Super Bendy bus just to change things up a little bit instead of using the double decker, just because that gives us more capacity. And then in terms of vehicles, I mean, I've got no idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do 6. We'll do 6 vehicles in that line. We'll see how it works out. We'll hope for the best with that. And we'll just see how it goes. The metro lines each have 1 vehicle. There's not very many people waiting at any of the stops to go around the metro right now, so I'm not particularly concerned about that. When it comes to these other lines, bus line 6, not very many people waiting there, which is kind of to be expected. Bus line 7, similar story, not that many people waiting, which again, kind of to be expected. Bus line number 8 and 9 do have some people by the looks of it, just sort of waiting around. Not that many, but a few people here and there for bus line 8. Bus line number 9 is a little busy down this way, which is okay. I think the 4 double-decker buses are probably going to be enough for this guy, so we'll not worry too much about it. And then obviously bus line 10 is the one that we've just added vehicles to. We can enable budget control for this, I suppose. And we'll see. I mean, it's going to add 12 vehicles to that line. Good Lord. Okay. Well, fair enough. That is fine by me, is what that is. We should see those guys coming over soon enough, and we should start to see the near 1,000 people that are in here finally getting over to the other part of town. I've also kind of realized if I wanted to, I could put a train station in here, and I'm kind of thinking this guy, the ground island platform train station, would be perfect somewhere like here. So if I was to go and take this whole section of track out of there for a second, and we put this guy right here, it does have a little road connection for that parking lot, but it kind of works perfectly for how these lines work. So I'm kind of curious to see if we can get away with this. Obviously, we have cargo trains going through here, and obviously we don't have trains that are going really anywhere else right now. But this might be sort of interesting, is my thinking. So we'll bring this guy out a little bit. We'll get a curve tool going here and see if we can bring this all together, which it seems like it doesn't necessarily want me to do. That's 20 units there, 23 units on the left. That'll be totally fine. Let's keep this. Let's see, is that actually going to work, or is that, how is that figuring out where that lines up is what I'm wondering. That is not really the connection that we're looking for. Let's bring that back a little bit further. We'll bring this guy sort of straight through to there, and now we'll see about connecting these together. So that's 22 and 18. This guy can go about 4 units to there, and then we'll curve it around, so it's 18 and 18 on both sides. And here's hoping I can get this to slope in a way that's not going to look terrible. If we just grab all of these nodes right to about there and hit it with the slope tool, that is actually okay. I think we can work with that. We'll have to smooth it out a little bit, but that's fine. Over here is hopefully just going to be a case of sort of doing something like this, I guess, which I suppose works. And somehow, some way, we're going to have to make this look a little bit less rough. So if we lower that node down a little bit, I think that works. I think that's about as good as we're going to get. And that's a decent little connection as far as I'm concerned. I would like to go and just change this out to be at ground level, because I think it should be right up until about that point. And then we can hit this with a relatively decent, maybe mid-strength smoothing brush just to tidy some of this up a little bit. And I guess the only thing we're dealing with here will be the intercity trains that go through this station. But this is a pretty good spot because it's just around the corner from this bus station. It's just around the corner from this metro station. And it's right next to both like a bunch of city services and a university. This just seems like kind of a cool spot for a train station. I like that a lot. And what's more is that if I wanted to, because it sort of goes all the way out here and back around and in here, I could build a little train station in here and use that as a way for people to get from that new part of town into this old part of town in a way that doesn't necessarily make sense, but that could be kind of cool, right? That's sort of what I'm thinking here, because we do have, I think, somewhere, I don't remember where exactly it is, but I'm pretty sure there's like this guy. It's a small elevated station. That's not really what I'm looking for. This guy, the historical train station. This could be kind of perfect, right? This is really dumb, but I'm going to try this just because I can. I really like the idea of having a little train station out here. I think it could be really fun. So let's go to about here and see if that's far enough away from the tracks. Is that a good spot? We can go a little bit further back is what we can do with that. We can go to, I want to say about there and then build it. Yeah, that's that's so ridiculous. Maybe we come one further sort of down from this. I think like here. And is that a decent little spot? That's actually okay. So right there, because I want to keep this track back here. I think that's going to be kind of important. I think some of these logs can kind of go away, of which there are many, and we can extend the track out just a little bit. Man, I'm doing everything today. This episode is unreasonably long right now, but we're gonna do something like this, and then somehow, some way, I need to kind of bring this all together. So take out all of you. We're gonna bring this straight to about here. And we're going to just bring it in like this. And that looks okay. It's a little bit of a sharp turn, but we'll make that work. This comes over and now needs to merge into there. And I think, honestly, I'm just going to leave it like that because I think that's going to be for the best. Let's make sure that's the same height as the station, which it is. This might all need some elevation changes is my thinking here. We might need to make some slight changes to how this thing's laid out. In fact, if I grab you, can I change you to the same height as that factory? There we go. And then this road needs to be the same height as the station, which it now is. And now all of these nodes need to be adjusted to be the correct height. So this little guy goes to the same height as the station. This node, same height as the station. And then we slope everything again. Okay, so this looks a little bit ridiculous, but I think we can work with this. I'm not 100% sure if I want to do houses in here again, but I kind of feel like we just should. I feel like it just kind of makes sense. Maybe some shops down towards the end of the road, maybe just like a little cluster of low-density commercial buildings there could be a bit of an idea. Maybe a bit of a gap between those and the rest of the houses. I don't really think I want to lose a whole bunch of residential zoning for this thing. So I think just a little something like this should be okay. It's not going to be the greatest place to live, given that you're right next to a train station, but that's probably okay. They'll manage is what they'll do. We'll do a little path in there just because we can. We'll fix that one bit of zoning that I've missed right there. And I want to say that's fine. I want to say that should work out, and I want to say that now what I can do is create a train line that ridiculously goes from here all the way over to here, which is, I mean, I will be shocked if anyone uses this line. I will be so shocked if anyone uses this line, but I'm really, really curious to see how it goes. Now, in terms of trains for this thing, we have some options. We have the commuter train, the bullet train, we have the airport express. I feel like the Railroads of Japan commuter train might be the one to go for, just because we can. So yeah, we'll go for the Railroads of Japan train right there. And it's going to be recommending 4 vehicles. Sure, that's fine. There goes one of them. This is so ridiculous. I also moved I moved one of the bus stops out to here. Wait a minute. Are there people? Oh my God, there are people actually waiting for trains. Wow. I wasn't necessarily expecting that, but okay. Wait, are you guys, oh, you are waiting for that. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm slightly blown away by this. I'm not gonna lie. I was not expecting anyone to want to use this, but that's very, very cool. We've got like 34 people on board this train right now. That is so good. Oh, that is so good. I'm so happy about this. Although I will say, as much as I like the Railroads of Japan trains, I do want to be able to see the color of the train, you know? So we could, wait, how fast is this one? This goes at 100 kilometers per hour. This one goes at 120. This one goes at 180. There's no reason to do a bullet train, right? Although if I go with a faster train, I'm going to go with this one. Yeah, I'm going to go with this one. It is faster than the commuter train. It's lower capacity, but at the very least, it's going to have the bright orange color that the line has, or whatever color I change it to, which in this case, I think we're going to go for, I want to go for like a purpley kind of blue color. In fact, I want to go for the same color that my buses are here in the middle, because I really like that shade of bluey kind of purple. So we'll do exactly that. We'll look at the lines. We'll go to you and we'll do this and change it out for that color right there, which I think is going to look pretty good. And there are genuinely so many people waiting here. There's like almost 100 of them. Oh, there we go. Oh, I'm so excited about it. I can't believe people actually want to use this. It's amazing. And it's the same over here as well. People are like, oh my God, look at this. It's so busy. There's like 100 people. Oh man. What is this? How is this so busy? Is that an intercity one? That is an intercity train. That's fine. Oh, that is so cool. I was not expecting this thing to be at all busy. Is that another intercity train? It is. Okay. Is that one of my trains coming in? It is. Oh my God. So many people just got off that intercity train. There's 78 people on board this one. There's 165. Oh, wow. No way this is that busy. I mean, first off, it's going to be a nightmare for traffic. I think we might need to, oh, wow. That's, that's potentially a really big traffic problem right there. Let's get rid of parking on these roads, because I think that's going to be a really, really good thing to do for this this whole space. We'll get rid of parking around there as well, just to make sure that everyone's behaving. Although I think this one can be wide sidewalks, since people are going to be kind of driving over that. Oh man, I was not expecting this. I mean, obviously everyone has their pocket cars in City Skylines. That's kind of okay. But this is just nuts. The amount of people that are coming and going here is kind of amazing. That is so cool. I was not expecting that many people to be using trains. I mean, hopefully it reduces the stress on this intersection, but I really have no idea. I'm just sort of blown away by how busy these two train stations have wound up being. That makes me so happy. So I guess that's probably gonna do us for today. I'm not sure how long this episode's gonna end up being. I know I say that like every single time, but this one in particular, I have just been going at this thing for hours and hours and hours. This has been so much fun. I hope it's made for a decent episode, because at this point I have no idea. But I do think we've managed to build something kind of cool here. I'm really looking forward to sort of integrating this into the rest of the city at some point, because that's kind of what we've done for the most part so far, right? Everything's been like little standalone builds to make up different parts of Nerdchester without all the stuff that goes in between them. So it's gonna be really interesting to detail around these spaces eventually. I also saw like a boat going across in the background just a second ago. I do want to get some boat connections as well. I want to do everything, man. I really do. I want to do everything. I want boats. I want airports. I want all of it. I'm so excited to get around to doing all that stuff. But that is going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.